Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, this is an incredible moment right now. They are very close in the House of Representatives for the final vote. You've got Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, that loser, and he's just droning on and on and on. The guy will just not shut up. It's been about an hour now. And it's the same thing. Tax cuts for the rich, tax cuts for the rich. This kicks everybody off Medicaid. People are going to die. I mean, it's the same hysteria, panic porn, lies, manipulation, propaganda. It's the same shtick over and over again. But here is now where things stand. The big, beautiful bill is about to be the final vote. Is about 10, 15, 20 minutes away. They passed procedural vote after procedural vote way into the night. They have finally gotten now to the brink. Now, here is the absolute latest because it is high drama. Thomas Massie, Kentucky Republican, self-avowed libertarian, an ally of Rand Paul, had claimed yesterday that he had a block of 10 Republicans. Now remember, in the House, the Republican majority is very thin, narrow, razor thin, 220 to 212. So all Republicans can afford are 3 defections. A fourth defection, i.e. if a fourth Republican votes no on this bill, because all the Democrats are united against it, then the big, beautiful bill fails. It will be tanked. It will be killed. It goes down. And as I said on X last night, and I was very, very serious about it, if the bill goes down, I believe Trump's presidency is on the line. This would be a humiliating blow to Trump. This would severely weaken him. It would completely upend his domestic agenda because the big, beautiful bill has about 80 to 85% of Trump's campaign promises and priorities squeezed into it. I know there are parts of it, the pork, the excessive spending. There's no question. It's not a perfect bill. There are problems with the bill, but there's so much good in the bill. And it's the heart of Trump's agenda. It will extend permanently the 2017 tax cuts. No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. No tax on factory construction. In other words, just economically, it is going to lead to a massive boom in the United States. Economic growth is going to soar. You're going to see millions of jobs created. Wages are going to go up. Literally, it's going to bring manufacturing back, investment back, business confidence back. It is going to be rocket fuel, jet fuel for the American economy. On top of that, you have by far the largest immigration crackdown in history in the bill. The bill funds the border wall completely. Not only that, it will hire thousands and thousands of ICE agents, border patrol agents, construct countless detention facilities to deport millions of illegal aliens. This bill passes. We now have the means to truly reverse and repel Biden's border invasion. Now, on these 2 provisions alone, I think you pass the bill. There's much more in it that's extremely good. But what I'm saying is just on the border, on immigration, and on the economy, to me, you pass the bill. Now, Massie said that he had a block of 10 Republicans. As of 9 o'clock last night, the treasonous 10, as I call them, were holding out, many of them threatening to bring down the big, beautiful bill. They don't care if it destroys Trump's presidency. They don't care that if the bill does not pass, It will lead next year to a $4 trillion tax increase. $4 trillion with a T. That means individuals, you and I, our taxes are going to go way up. Businesses, your taxes are going to go way up. It is going to be like a sledgehammer to the economy. And most likely, it will tip the entire country into recession, and the Republicans will be blamed. And politically, it is going to be a disaster for the Republicans in the midterms. So as Trump now has been telling them in meeting after meeting, you don't vote for the big, beautiful bill. You're basically committing political, economic suicide for the country, for your reelection, and for the Republican majority, and for the Republican Party. Now, Massie bragged last night, that he had his block, that he got more than 4 to break the bill, to kill it. He had 10. However, Trump, J.D. Vance, and Mike Johnson began a PR, arm-twisting, phone call offensive in which apparently Trump was taking call after call, making call after call. He had members of the Freedom Caucus, which is more conservative. They want deeper spending cuts. He slowly began to turn one after another in favor of the bill. So some of the moderates who had other concerns about Medicaid and does it cut too much in Medicaid, Trump reassured them it will get rid of most illegal aliens off of Medicaid. That's it, and waste, fraud, and abuse. It does not cut Medicaid for American citizens. Nothing. That's a lie. It's a left-wing lie, a media Democrat lie. And so, as they went through the bill, one by one, Massie's block of 10 began to fall. They finally broke through at 3:30 this morning with a procedural vote. They now are about to vote on the final bill. It is history in the making. This is my prediction. I think they have the votes. Obviously, I'm praying they have the votes. I hope they have the votes, but I think now they have the votes. Now, let me just say this, because we're looking at a monumental moment, a watershed moment for the country, and a watershed moment now for Trump and the Trump presidency. Thomas Massie and whoever else ends up voting no on this bill, their careers need to be finished. This is not just a betrayal of Trump. It is a betrayal of the American people. It is a betrayal of the voters. It is a betrayal of the people who elected Trump in November. And ultimately, it is a betrayal of his own constituents. What Thomas Massie is doing, and Rand Paul, and Susan Collins, and Tom Tillis, is they have now voted to sabotage and bring down Trump's presidency. Make no mistake about it. Voting against the big, beautiful bill and collaborating with the Democrats means not just sinking the bill and raising taxes through the roof and probably sparking or triggering a recession, but it also means, from their point of view, fundamentally gutting Trump's ability to govern and setting up the Democrat takeover of the House and even the Senate in the midterm elections, where the Democrats will launch investigation after investigation and will begin impeaching Trump, most likely 3 times to top the 2 times they impeached him before. These are political Judases. And as I said on X last night, you vote against the big, beautiful bill. If you vote against it, we are going to remember. The voters are not going to forget it. And we are going to primary you. Every single one of you. And your careers are going to be over. Your name is going to be mud, because we will not allow you, the American people, we are not going to allow you, MAGA, Kuhner country, we will not allow you to torpedo Trump's presidency. We have Trump's back. We voted for tax cuts. We want them. We voted for no taxes on tips and overtime. We want them. We voted to finally secure the border and deport all of the illegal aliens under Biden. We want them. We're going to get them. We want energy independence. We want to raise oil and natural gas production to the point that we're going to have $2 a gallon gasoline and our energy and electric bills are going to go down by half. That's what we voted for. That's what we want. We want to rebuild our military. That's what we voted for. That's what we want. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, President Trump now literally on the brink. They are now still debating, but it's the final debates. Hakeem Jeffries has been going at it now for over an hour. He's obviously just trying to prolong. When is this guy going to shut up? Because once he shuts up, they get to vote. And this will be the final vote on the big, beautiful bill. Johnson is confident. Trump is confident, but it's not over until it's over. So, fingers crossed. Now, just very, very quickly, listen now to Hakeem Jeffries, Democratic leader in the House Minority Leader, saying it's a 2020 to 2012 majority that the Republicans have. It is one of the slimmest majorities ever. All we need are 4 Republicans. GOP can take 3 losses, 3 defections, and still pass it by 1 vote. But if the Democrats, if they can pick up 4 Republicans who are willing to cross the aisle and vote against passage of Trump's big, beautiful bill, it goes down. And in many ways, so does Trump's presidency. Listen now to Hakeem Jeffries saying we're doing everything we can to entice and attract these Republicans to come over and stab the president and his voters right in the back. Roll cut 1, Mike.
I was with President Nixon on his last trip to China, which was extraordinary, Miranda, given that 20 years before he had opened the door to China and changed the entire global calculus, but certainly Sino-U.S.
Wait, I think that's, Monica Crowley, like on Fox yesterday. Okay, Mike, do we have cut 1?
We are here today, united as House Democrats, to make clear to the American people that every single House Democrat will stand up for your health care, stand up for your Medicaid, stand up for your Medicare, stand up for the Affordable Care Act, stand up for nutritional assistance for our children, our seniors, and our veterans. Stand up for our hospitals. Stand up for our nursing homes. Stand up for our community-based health centers. And stand up against massive tax breaks for GOP billionaire donors. And that is why every single House Democrat will vote hell no against this one big, ugly bill. And all we need are 4 House Republicans to join us in defense of their constituents who will suffer mightily from this bill.
That's the question now. Can they get 4? That's the question. Massie is a hard no. Now, as for the treasonous 10, some of them are not going to vote for the bill. What surprised me are some of the names on that list of 10 Republicans who were behind Massie in sabotaging the bill, voting against it, at least initially. That's last night. Lauren Boebert initially was one of the 10. Now, apparently her phones have been deluged, absolutely flooded with calls, with people not just in her district, but around the country, saying you are going to have the mother of all primaries. if you vote against this bill. So Andy Biggs, another one, MAGA conservative, but he says he's a no. Now it looks like he may be a yes. But now, I can tell you this with absolute certainty. Trump met with many of them in his office, and he was able to turn many of them around. And from what sources were saying in the media, and these members of Congress admitted it, it wasn't arm twisting. It wasn't him threatening or cajoling or yelling or screaming. They said he used the soft touch, that he appealed to their patriotism. He appealed to his election. He appealed to the voters. He apparently, according to all of them, is apparently very much in the weeds in the policy of the bill, in the details of the bill. What are the policies? What is going to be the consequences? What's in the bill? And apparently he went straight, almost chapter and verse, saying, no, you're being misinformed on this. No, listen, look here. We're not going to do that. Here, I promise you. Apparently he did say that some of the things the Senate did take out from the original House version that was passed over a month ago, he is going to make sure that it gets passed in the future, or that he will issue it through an executive order. So that seemed to allay quite a few of these naysaying Republicans. Now, nothing is over, as I said, until it's over. Many of you are texting the Kuhner man saying, Jeff, I got a bad feeling. This vote seems to be going on forever. And the longer it goes on, the more time there is for people to switch their minds or change their minds and potentially vote against the president on this. So we're going to have to wait and see. Now, listen to Speaker Mike Johnson. He's been up all night. In fact, he's been up the last couple of nights. He's been with Trump trying to convince some of these dissident Republicans, the Republicans who are planning to vote against it, to switch their vote. Listen to what he's saying. The approach they decided was not pressure, and it wasn't threats or blackmail. Apparently, they said the pressure was, the approach was no pressure, and let's just do everything we can to answer questions and leave it up to their conscience. And I think really the strategy is let Kuhner country and other, voters like us, supporters like Trump, send in the emails, send in the letters, make the phone calls, and let the people lobby them and let them know what the consequences will be if they don't vote for the BBB and if they, God forbid, sink the BBB. Listen now to Speaker Johnson. Roll cut 20, Mike.
A while to go through the changes, to have everybody fully process that and figure out what that means for them in their districts, and that's part of the process. So no huge pressure here. We're allowing these conversations to continue. Chad was right. I might keep it open a little while because I have, among those no votes, I've got a couple of folks that are actually off site right now, had to attend to family affairs or events this evening, and so some of them are on the way back. And then a couple of others we're having still some conversations. So
now, I just want to play one more cut, and then I want to get to your calls, I promise. 617-266-6868 is the number. A couple lines are open. This cut that we just played of Johnson was, 11 o'clock last night? 11:30, almost midnight last night. So we have a couple of other cuts from 3:30 this morning. So they just waited them out, these procedural votes, to finally get to this final vote. And one of them, it was open for 7 hours, literally 7 hours. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I got butterflies in my stomach. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm on pins and needles right now. The House is wrapping up debate. They are going to vote, final vote. Literally, this is it, on the big, beautiful bill. If the vote passes, if the bill passes, forgive me, the vote, I believe it's going to be, I think 215 is the magic number. If they get to 215 or 216, it's Trump's victory. The bill will become law. Well, it's going to go to President Trump's desk, and then he will sign it, and it will be one of the most consequential singular achievements of Trump's entire presidency. No question about it. It sets the table for the next 3.5 years. I believe the next 10 years, but definitely the next 3.5 years. The question now is, we know there are going to be Republican holdouts. There were at least 10 last night. Some are now a yes. They have gone from a no to a yes. The question now is, Democrats need to pick off 4, just 4. So Mike Johnson can afford to lose 3 Republicans. But if he loses a 4th, the bill goes down. And honestly, I believe Trump's presidency will be in serious danger. Listen now to Mike Johnson. Again, this was on Fox midnight or whatever, 11:30 last night. So he's been working the phones, talking to members. He said, I just got off the phone with President Trump about an hour ago. And all he's asking me now is, who can I call? Give me a no. Give me a Republican that is against the BBB. I want to talk to that person and see if I can change that person's mind. Roll cut 26. Mike.
And in fact, he called me most recently about an hour ago and said, who else needs to have a discussion? I'm ready to get on the phone. And I said, Mr. President, you've done your job, and we'll do ours here. He has been fully a participant in this whole thing. And that's such a refreshing thing for members of Congress to know that you have a commander-in-chief who is so engaged like that and helping carry the ball over the line. It's really been a great working relationship. And the cabinet, we've had cabinet secretaries engaged today in conversations, answering questions in their areas. It's just an incredible team in the White House and in the Congress as well. So we are going to get this job done. Everybody will celebrate together, but the real celebration will be by the American people, because they're going to see the effects of this quickly, and it's going to be a great thing for the whole country.
I agree. I agree. That's why to me, you got to pass this bill for many reasons. Now, let me just say one other thing, and then I want to go to the phone lines. The president has been completely engaged. He's using his charm offensive. He's answering questions. He's immersed in the details, as I said, of the bill. He's answering, he's literally saying, what are your concerns? And he will point chapter and verse in the bill, saying, okay, no, here, I'm telling you, you're being fed misinformation. No, that's only half true. Let me tell you the rest of the story. So, and apparently it has worked. The persuasion approach has managed to flip at least 4 or 5 of this block of 10. So it's close. It is very close. Now, remember, the first time around when they passed it, as it went to the Senate, it was by 1 vote. In the Senate, just a couple days ago, it took J.D. Vance to be the tie-breaking vote in 51-50. This may be history repeating itself. If it does pass, it may pass by just 1 vote. So it is now on a razor's edge. 617-266-6868. Am I the only one? This is the president's agenda. This is 85% of what Trump campaigned on, and his top priorities are in this bill. It's mostly, 85 to 90% of what the American people voted for is in this bill. And he's getting this much resistance from Republicans? Potentially handing Democrats not just a major victory, but a devastating blow to Trump's presidency and his domestic agenda within 6 months of him being inaugurated? This is what I mean about Republicans. They're like the gang that just can't shoot straight because they're just too busy shooting at each other. Am I wrong? This should be a slam dunk for the president. It should be 220. We've got the votes with a comfortable margin. Everybody's going to vote for this. Let's move on. Instead, it's I mean, it's like pulling teeth to get these recalcitrant, obstinate, stubborn Republicans to go from a no to a yes. 617-266-6868. Do you like the big, beautiful bill? Should it pass? Do you think it will pass? That's now the question. Are you nervous? Lou in Rhode Island, you're going to kick us off, Lou. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Yeah. Happy 4th of July, Jeff.
Happy 4th of July to you and your family, Lou.
I hope you have a great time tomorrow. Remember that Diet Coke. You got to have that Diet Coke.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely having Diet Coke tomorrow. Yes, we're having hamburgers, hot dogs on the barbecue, and Ashton says he's going to grill it. So,
that's fine,
all right, Ashton, go ahead, son.
Well, you got to watch the weight, you know. You got to have that Diet Coke. I mean, but anyway, look, this is serious. 249 years ago, actually, as of yesterday, the Continental Congress put their actual lives on the line to vote for the Declaration of Independence. What was it that Ben Franklin said? Either we will all hang separately or we will all hang together. And we look at these gutless Republicans now that they've got. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous that they can't look at the significance of this and fathom the importance of this bill that changes America, closes the borders, and stimulates the economy. I've been listening to Kudlow lately, and he had lots of benefits, the growth. They are going to reduce some spending. It lowers the amount of spending in percentage of the GDP. I mean, it's going to be it's an amazing bill. Maybe one of the greatest bills that ever came down the pike in the U.S. Congress. And I agree with you. Look at these recalcitrant Republicans. They're idiots. They're just idiots, and they are actually the ones who do vote against it. All have to be primaried and kicked out. And you know, the other thing is that especially this week, when we see the future of the country without a Donald Trump, and we see Zoran Mondami. That's the future. If this goes down, the Democrats, all of a sudden, you give them a shot in the arm, and then who's their leader now? I mean, he's their big leader, him and AOC. Is that the future we want, or do we want a future of the big, beautiful bill? I'll take the big, beautiful bill, and I'll take Donald Trump any day of the week. And I can't see why the Republicans are like this. As a matter of fact, it was really ironic that yesterday in the news that I saw that both Bush and Obama were crying about USA. Did you see that?
I did. No, I did. It was unbelievable. Well, that's the gravy train. That's the money where they use to bribe people both around the world and here in the United States. Yeah. So, you know, and again, so Trump's cutting them off at the knees, and that's why they're crying, Lou.
Right. These people, the deficit hawks, pass the bill, and then you can start having hearings and start going after the corruption after that. There's a lot of stuff that probably does need to be cut, but now's not the time. You can cut it like right after that. You know, they have 3 years more of Trump to start cutting and getting rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse in government. But this time, the government, the country needs.
Oh, you're dead on. Look, the country wants it. The country needs it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, he's still talking. I swear, this is unbelievable. So Hakeem Jeffries, you want to talk about a puffed up windbag. This guy, he started at 5, literally at 5 this morning. So everybody's in the House. Everybody's in the House of Representatives. This is it now. He finishes his stupid speech. They're going to vote. So, you know, it's been like, you know, almost 2 hour, 50 minutes. Like, come on, wrap it up already. I mean, how many ways can you say the same thing over and over again? Anyway, so this guy's just droning on and on. And the thing is, you can tell it's all staged. It's because the Democrats, you know, he's standing and speaking. You can see all the Democrats behind him. They're all talking to each other. Like nobody's even listening to him. So the Republicans aren't listening to him. The Democrats aren't listening to him. And there he is moving his hands back and forth, acting like, I don't know what, he's Cicero. You know, he's making some kind of a profound, brilliant, eloquent speech. And you can tell it's just string it along, drag out the clock, and almost like we're going to make them suffer. We're going to make them sit here for hours and hours and hours, hoping that, somebody who was a no went back to a yes, but maybe that yes will be back to a no. It's just, just keep extending and extending and extending. Anyway, this is a brilliant text that I got. You can text the Kuhner Man, 70470. This is from 781, and I think really hits the nail on the head. Jeff, years ago, I was an emergency medical technician. When we arrived at an accident scene, our training was drilled into us. Establish an airway. In other words, a way to breathe. Without that, the patient dies. No matter what other injuries need attention, I look at the big, beautiful bill this very same way. The provision in the bill for the border and deportations is that airway. Without it, the patient, meaning the country, dies. Very literally dies. Everything else can be attended to afterwards. What is wrong with these Republican holdouts? Brilliant. Look, I said this a couple days ago. I'm going to say it again. Just on the immigration crackdown, the border enforcement and the deportations alone, you vote for this bill. Okay? Warts and all. Why? Because it stops the invasion cold permanently. And it gives Trump and ICE and DHS now all of the resources, all of the manpower, all of the tools and equipment that they need. Literally $170 billion. There is more in this bill for mass deportations and sealing the borders than actually goes to the military. That's not a criticism. The military gets a lot, $150 billion. But Trump is so serious. He says, no, every illegal alien out that was brought in by Biden, out. So give me a budget where we can deport 15 to 20 million illegals. So it does this. What are we discussing, man? And these guys are like, well, we should cut a little bit more out of Medicaid. Well, I swear, this is what they're arguing. Well, the House version raises the debt limit $4 trillion. The Senate version raises the debt limit $5 trillion. I'm like, this is the hill you want to die on? So we've got a $37 trillion national debt. Hey, look, we're never going to pay this thing off. Who are we kidding? So whether you add another $4 trillion or another $5 trillion, I don't think at this point, 41 trillion, we can do it. But 42 trillion, no way. That's gonna break our back. You look at these people and you're like, what planet are you living on? Anyway, look, we're going to see what's going to happen. The economy is going to boom. And the reason why Trump wanted it by July 4th, yes, it's symbolic, Independence Day, no question. Okay? Patriotic bill, patriotic day, patriotic victory. But the bigger reason, and he's been saying this for months now, it's going to take, it takes time for the economy to really take off. It takes time for a bill, all of its provisions and policies to begin to bite and take effect. He goes, I want the economy booming by next year as we sail into the midterms, so we can either at a minimum hold our majorities or better yet expand our majorities. But he's like, guys, I'm not going to keep dinking around here until October and November and December. And even if we get it passed by the end of the year, the effects of this aren't going to be felt for months and months and months. The economy now needs a massive injection. This bill gives it that injection. And with this economic boom, combined with border enforcement and the mass deportations and complete and utter energy independence and massive oil and natural gas drilling, driving down the cost of gas, driving down the cost of energy, and then completely rebuilding and restockpiling our military. Never mind the fact that it kicks 1.4 million illegal aliens off of Medicaid. Off of Medicaid. So they got that in the final Senate bill. They managed to get it in. And so, that's why Trump is saying, guys, there's some serious reforms in Medicaid that are going to be very good for the country. 1.4 million illegal aliens will be kicked off the rolls of Medicaid. And that's why he's looking at them and he's like, don't let don't let perfection, what you think is perfect, be the enemy of the good. This is a very good bill. Very good bill. And it contains most of what I campaigned on and what I promised voters and what I was elected to enact. So get out of our way. The voters voted for this. Give the voters what they want. Agree, disagree. Jim in Tingsboro. Thanks for holding, Jim, and welcome.
Jeff, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Jim?
Okay, I'm all right. Just a rough morning as usual. I'll tell you, Jeff, they had better pass this bill. Because I'll tell you, I'm a man of my word, and I spent my lifetime. I mean, I played by the rules all the way through my entire life. And I'll tell you, this wishy-washy thing going on, I mean, I'm a man of my word, Jeff. And I can tell you right now, I haven't got much time left because of my ailments. However, whatever I've got left, if they don't pass this bill, I am going to make them pay. I am going to go after them, and I am going to ruin them all around the board. Whatever it takes. I've had it up to beyond my forehead. This is ridiculous. We pay tax dollars in this country. I've been paying, you know what I mean? I didn't pay to support their wannabe votes. Through the illegal system of letting them over our border and everything else. Everything that Trump has been fighting for is correct and it's positive for this country. But if they keep this up, what is the United States of America will become the ununited, okay? And the ununited is going to come out and people are going to get hurt real bad. I can see it coming. I can taste it. I can see it. And it's frightening, Nobody wants war, but if they want a civil war, God damn it, they're going to get it.
Well, Jim, look, you can see. Look, let me put my cards on the table, okay, as the Germans would say. Or as I prefer to say, one of my favorite expressions is, let me be brutally honest with you like I'm in the confessional. They hate Trump. The Republican establishment despises him. You can take this to the bank. Rand Paul personally loathes Trump. He can't stand him. He's jealous of him. He's envious of him. He's petty. He's vindictive. Massie's basically his little poodle. Okay, he's in the House. Rand Paul's in the Senate. But Massie's out to sink Trump on behalf of Rand Paul. That's what this is about. And so you've got some of these rhinos who think they can be a hero in Washington if they blow up this bill and with it blow up Trump's presidency. And that's ultimately what this is all about. Because if you look at this bill objectively, again, does it add too much to the debt? No question. Does it spend way too much money? No question. But look, when do they not spend too much money? I'm not excusing it. You know me. I'm just saying, look, if these were Republicans that fought the Democrats tooth and nail. I mean, they fought Obama, and they fought Pelosi, and they fought Schumer, and they fought Biden or whoever was running Biden's, presidency. If they fought him tooth and nail, I'd say, well, okay. I mean, that's their principles. They believe in fiscal responsibility and balanced budgets, and, fine. I would respect them for that. But no, how many times have they all voted to raise the debt ceiling? How many times have they caved and capitulated again and again and again and again and again? That's what I told Grace last night. It was midnight. I mean, I was up way past midnight. I'm like, when are they going to vote on this thing? I mean, this is one of the most important moments, frankly, in our lives. Certainly in Trump's presidency. But I think the impact of this is going to be immense for our children, for our grandchildren. And now, all of a sudden, with the narrowest of majorities, I'm talking razor-thin majority, now all of a sudden, they go, well, we want to reform the welfare state. That's what some of them are saying. What? With a 3-vote majority in the House? No, we want to reform Medicaid. We want to reform Medicare. We want to reform all these big spending programs. Buddy, that's not what Trump ran on, number one. Number two, good luck. No, they want to put in these massive spending cuts because they know that the rhinos in the House then will not vote for the bill. And so that will sink the bill. They're not serious. Suddenly now, they're all born-again deficit hawks. Suddenly now, all these guys who rolled over for Biden, rolled over for Obama, rolled over for Pelosi, now, all of a sudden, now they're like political jihadists. Wait, this is about the debt, the deficit. No, it's about stopping Trump. That's what this is all about. Now, you're right. If they know what's good for them, as I said on X, I said, no, there's no need for violence. Your careers are over. But it's not just that your careers are over because we're going to primary you. We're never going to forget your names. Your names are going to be mud. Do you understand? Your names are going to be, they're going to be mud. You will go down in infamy. Because here's what you did. You stopped the biggest tax cuts in the history of the United States. That's what you stopped. You stopped one of the greatest economic booms that's about to hit us. You're trillions of dollars in investment. I'm talking about rising wages now for middle working class people. I'm talking about driving unemployment down to less than 3%. You are going to see an economic golden age that is going to marvel the world. That's what this bill is going to deliver. And it will finally secure our border and finally begin to repel the invasion that Joe Biden allowed. It defends the homeland. Now, I can give you a million other reasons why to vote for it, but on these two issues alone, peace and prosperity, how could you not vote for this? So, look, I'm sorry, they're losers. These people, I'm telling you, they're losers. And there's going to be a few that are going to vote no. The only question now is, can they peel off 4? But every single one now that votes no, persona non grata in the Republican Party. Out. Honestly, I'm tired of these Judases. And great, I got to say this again, my wife was right, as usual. Okay? As usual. She said to me, notice the Democrats never have this problem, ever. Have you noticed that, Jim? Ever. Oh my God, they passed the most atrocious bills. I mean, this is a phenomenal bill. This bill is going to help almost every American. But their bills, all they do is screw us. But man, they're thick as thieves. I'm telling you, it's easier for me to run a marathon, okay? And I can't run a marathon. But let's say I tried to run a marathon. It would be easier for me to run a marathon than to peel one Democrat away when they vote. to just get one. Our side. He had 20 House Republicans against him the second the Senate passed the bill. They didn't even have a chance to celebrate, 15 minutes. 51-50. You had 20 House Republicans. I'm not voting for this. Send it back. We won't even look at it. And so the President of the United States, writing a massive mandate in November, has to beg House Republicans. He has to beg them practically. Call them up to the White House, schmooze them, offer them food and drink and slap them on the back. And what do you want? What do you need? Let me explain it to you. And then all this poor guy does is work around the clock, almost like one member of Congress, one Republican per hour. Okay, what can I do for you? Okay, Lauren Boebert, what can I do for you? I thought you were my supporter. Now you're not. What's the problem? Anyway, this guy's still talking. Honest to God, this guy, I've never seen anything like this. And everyone behind them, they're just all talking to themselves. I've never seen this. Anyway, Jim, you're completely right. This is a great bill. And look, we're not going to take no for an answer. As I said on X, we've got Trump's back. And I want every Republican to know that. Every Republican now in the House should know. We are going to remember and we're not going to forget. If you know what's good for you, vote yes. Jim, thank you so much for that call. And have a great 4th of July. Jenny in Wayland, thanks for holding, Jenny, and welcome.
Thank you for taking my call, and happy almost Independence Day.
Yes, happy Independence Day. Thank you, Jenny.
I'm calling because I know they all listen to your show, and I want to send them my message loud and clear. And I'm going to say it slowly because I'm a little nervous. I voted for President Donald J. Trump, not because I agree with him, but because he agreed with me. He wants to, and he's going to, and he did, secure our borders and close them, stop runaway inflation, peace in the world, support Israel, reopen the Keystone Pipeline so we can be independent energy again, stop the fentanyl and the drugs from coming in and killing our Americans, rebuild our military, honor the Constitution, and respect parents' rights, and, as he did, and I'm so proud, keep men out of women's locker rooms, bathrooms, and sports. I am praying, and I am urging them to vote for this bill because I want them to know we are watching you, and the red wave is stronger than ever. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jenny. Very well said. Really well said. Sal in Wakefield. Thanks for holding, Sal, and welcome.
I just want. Good morning, Jeff. I want to jump on what you said about the Democrats always sticking together. We've said this. I've said it to you on the phone before. The Inflation Reduction Act was nothing but a payout to the Green New Deal. It did nothing for the working middle-class taxpayers of this country. It was a horrible bill. It passed. You got to hand it to them. They stick together no matter what. No matter what. It's amazing to me.
Sal, I have to tell you, and that, by the way, that goes for the communists as well. I'm just telling you, from my parents' background and my father would always say this. He'd shake his head. He goes, man, dude, I got to give them I got to give the devil their due. These commies always stick together. They always, they may have their disagreements behind closed doors, but Sal, they were the same in the old country. They were like two peas in a pod. You just couldn't pry one loose. And the Democrats are the same. And our side, it's incredible. It really is. And, you know, they love the division. They love the bickering. They love the arguing. They love the grandstanding. You know, that's what Trump said. He said, it's like I'm dealing not with members of Congress, but with peacocks. Like they love to show their feathers and strut their stuff and act all important. And they're going to make this point and they're going to make that point and they're going to make this point. And Trump says, well, the country's burning. And he's like, you know, what is it about more jobs that you don't like? What is it about, you know, a massive economic boom that you don't like? Rising wages. People are on their backs. People can't pay their bills. They need help. They need this economy to be turned around fast. Trump's like, what's wrong with you? We're going to lower grocery prices. We're going to lower gas prices. We're going to lower energy prices. I'm going to put more money in people's pocket, working class people. What's wrong with you? The whole Iran-Israel war, our involvement, the bombing of the 3 nuclear sites, I have completely now changed my mind. 7:18 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, trying to stay conscious. That's all I'm trying to do now. I've got Hakeem Jeffries on 4 screens here in my iHeart studio. This guy just pulled out a big black binder. I swear to you. He's got a big black binder full of papers. He's reading from it, pumping his fists. He's yelling, screaming, sweating. I'm serious. He's sweating like a pig. And he's just yakking, and nobody's really paying attention to what he's saying. But he's got that binder. It started at 5, and we're 2 hours and 20 minutes in. So anyway, no, I'm a fool. I mean, I supported the bombing. I supported Israel bombing. I supported Trump taking out, you know, Natanz and Fordo and Isfahan and setting back their nuclear enrichment facility and program for at least a couple of years. No, are you serious? I would have brought in a special forces team, say CIA, and just kidnapped the Ayatollah, okay? The supreme leader Khamenei. That's it. Take him and then get Hakeem Jeffries. I want this guy in our CIA. This guy, forget House Minority Leader, and just put him in a room with the Ayatollah and give him one of those black binders that he likes to read from, and just let this blowhard go on and drone on and drone on and drone on and drone on. I swear it's like Chinese water torture. I swear, within a couple hours, the Ayatollah, Allah, I'm sorry, Allah, I give up, sorry, forgive me, Allah, I sign deal right now. I give away entire nuclear program. Right now, please, shut up. Just shut him up. I sign. Give me paper. I sign. And then you got to keep somebody in there. No, really, that's the only thing. You can't just have him alone with Hakeem. Because even if he signs away the entire nuclear deal, and there's nobody there, you know, to like tell Hakeem to stop talking. So Hakeem just keeps, you know, shooting his mouth off. He keeps bloviating. Then the poor Ayatollah, you know, is going to be in a rope, putting a noose around his neck, trying to commit suicide. Oh, he don't shut up. And then you have an international incident, you know, we killed the leader of Iran. So, no, I'm sorry. Bomb? Why bomb? You know, the lives that were threatened, the lives that we risked, the money that we spent. CIA agent 000 Hakeem Jeffries. We recruit him. You put him in any interrogation room. And I'm telling you, he breaks you in under 3 hours or your money back. This guy, just won't shut up. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, it is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Kelly Financial Services. If the big, beautiful bill passes, and who knows when they're going to now do the final vote because this guy Jeffries just won't shut up. But anyway, if the BBB passes, who do you think should get the credit for it or deserves more of the credit for it? A, MAGA Mike, Speaker Mike Johnson, B, Donald Trump? Who was the one that got it over the finish line? Because remember now, the House is voting on the Senate version of the big, beautiful bill. There are no amendments to it, no changes, no alterations. So this is it. There's one vote left. We're waiting for that vote. It should happen any time, the moment Jeffrey stops talking. And if it passes, it's done. It goes to President Trump's desk, and he will sign it. So if the BBB passes, who do you think deserves more credit? A, Speaker Mike Johnson, B, Donald J. Trump. Personally, I'm a B. I don't think Johnson could have corralled this crazy caucus, this raucous, divided, chaotic caucus without President Trump leaning over and over and over against these people. To me, this is like a zoo, this Republican Party in the House. But that's me. I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in National ER. I was, again, very active on X last night. I pointed out the treasonous 10, as I called them, the 10 traitors who claimed last night they were a hard no. Some have now changed their minds on this big, beautiful bill. But anyway, you can vote via X as well. My handle there, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhner. Tony in Gloucester. Thanks for holding, Tony, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. First off, I agree with you about Rand Paul wholeheartedly, but he's not a libertarian. He's a contrarian. Because whatever Trump goes for, he's got to be contrary to it. I think the bill is going to pass, and because of Trump. I read the transcript. I didn't see the show where RFK Jr. was being interviewed by Tucker Carlson. And at the end, he went off subject, and he talked about Trump. And he said when he first met Trump, he thought he was a narcissist. So but now that he got to know him and he's in these meetings, he can't get over the guy. The guy is focused. He listens to everybody. He says he's a walking encyclopedia. And he talks about how much he really cares about people. But that's why it's going to pass, because Trump is going to do this. This is true businessman, but true politics. He can talk to these people, point out the things, and he can get them to go for it. And just one other thing. I have a little dream I'd like to share with you if I could. I've been a supporter of Judicial Watch for decades, and I'm going to write them a letter. I would love to see, we always hear racketeering, right? That's the new word to sue people over. Let's see if maybe we get Judicial Watch to sue the House and the Senate for racketeering, for all the lobbyist money that they take, because if that's not racketeering, nothing is. And the greatest part about that lawsuit would be the discovery process, that we could all see exactly how much money these bozos have taken to do the bidding of their lobbyist masters instead of taking care of us. What would you think about that?
Oh, I love it, Tony. Love it, love it, love it. And, that's another thing. I think a lot of these Republicans, now, again, they went from a no to a yes because Trump just, he launched his charm offensive and God knows what was said in private. So after, Trump leaned on them, let's put it that way, they backed off. But I'd like to know how much money is floating around up there. Because I'll tell you this, Big Pharma does not like this bill. Big Hospital does not like this bill. The medical industry, not happy with this bill. The Chamber of Commerce hates this bill. The globalists can't stand this bill. 617-266-6868. Again, it's the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's quality roofing, siding, and windows. If the big, beautiful bill passes, who do you think should get the credit? House Speaker Mike Johnson, MAGA Mike, or President Donald Trump? A, Johnson, B, Trump. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in National ER, or if you prefer, you can vote via X. My handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, Kuhner, Mark in Medford. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Jeff, is Hakeem Jeffries still reading from the Black Binder?
Oh, yeah. Still going, my friend.
I swear to God, if he's reading the bill again, he should be thrown off the floor. They did that a few days ago. He should be thrown off the floor if he brought out that 900-page bill to read every single thing in it. It took like 24 hours for them to do that. If he's doing it again, they should throw him off the floor. And, Jeff, you know what? How do you know when somebody's really stupid? When they keep repeating themselves over and over and over again and then have nothing to back it up. I am sick and tired of hearing them, oh, do you want to save Medicare? Do you want to save Medicaid? Do you want to save this, save that? They know that Trump is only cutting
waste, fraud, and abuse. You're right. He's just cutting the waste, the fraud, and the abuse. That's it. Andy in Milford. Thanks for holding, Andy, and welcome.
Happy 4th of July, Kuhner man, to you and your family.
Thank you. All the best to you and your family, Andy, as well. Andy, what do you make of this? Hakeem Jeffries is still talking. Obviously, now they want to drag this out for hours and hours and hours. Do you think Trump has the votes? And, I mean, these Republicans that are going to vote against him, what do you think we should do to them, Andy?
They need to be primaried and they need to be retired, Jeff. Years ago, probably around 30 years ago, I was dealing with a schism in conservative politics, and I was talking with another conservative at the time about it and just really asking why. Why are we having this schism? We're just about, to get some momentum here, to get something done. What he said to me then, Jeff, I keep circling back to. He said to me, quote, the biggest problem with conservatives is too many egos competing with one another, and that is why we always lose. And I thought of that third full circle when you were talking about Rand Paul this morning. And I'll tell you, when President Trump came into prominence, Jeff, I saw so many things that Conservative Inc. had maybe 25, 30 years to get done. They didn't get it done. And yet President Trump got in. He got those things done in his first term. And I think we need to issue a serious call to these conservatives, that the peacocks, if you will, put your pride and your ego aside and get behind this president or get out of the way. Or more to the point, we'll get you out of the way in the next primary rounds. And that's my take on that, Jeff. Now, for Hakeem Jeffries, the clip you played earlier this morning, Hakeem Jeffries is bellowing about how they cared for veterans. How many veterans right now are homeless and living out in the street because the Democrats have prioritized illegals over American citizens? I've lost count. So I'm hoping one of the Republicans in the House gets right back in Hakeem Jeffries' face with that fact.
Oh, Andy, you're, on both counts, you're completely right. Look, I've been in the conservative movement for most of my life, and I've never seen a bigger bunch of egomaniacs. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about these. I'm not talking about conservatives like people who listen to the show, but, like movement leaders, people in the Republican Party. They love to knife each other. They love to destroy each other. The jealousy, the pettiness, the envy, the vindictiveness. And look, the part of the problem is they don't end up paying a price. Rand Paul needs to pay a massive political price. He stabbed Trump in the back. There's no undoing that. Now, luckily it passed the Senate thanks to J.D. Vance. He was there as the tie-breaking vote. It was 51-50. So I'm with you, Andy. We'll see what's going to happen. I hope they have the votes. I pray they have the votes. But look, make no mistake about it. The Democrats know what's at stake. If they can defeat the big, beautiful bill in the House, 617-266-6868 is the number. Let's go to Roman in Boston. Thanks for holding, Roman, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Roman.
Micah pulled over by a stadium on Revere Beach. That stadium should stop worrying about Mike picking up the phone and worry about what's happening on Revere Beach daily, because I'm a police officer. If I saw him picking up the phone, that would be nothing to me. Carry on, brother. Go. And if I knew he was talking to you, I'd definitely let him go. But who knows what those jackboots are going to do. But, Hakeem Jeffries with this mini filibuster, is he going to break out War and Peace and start reading that? How can that be allowed? You know what I mean? How can that even be allowed for him to do that? And Lauren Boebert, she barely squeaked by her last election where they redistrict. She's now in positive Democrat territory. What is she even thinking of thinking no on this bill? Don't they understand that this is almost a 70% interest, 70% tax increase on us, first and foremost, that we're looking at? That is absolutely scary to me, that they just, 10 of them even thinking about it. Don't they care about the American people at all? On top of the illegal immigration, on top of the billions and billions and billions of dollars that are being spent on these illegals, that they can't even do a lousy 20-hour work requirement. Because everyone's, oh no, they're going to take Medicare and they're going to take this. No, they want a work requirement. And what that does is you're now paying taxes. And guess what? Their welfare is going to be taken down a little bit. And all their benefits are going to be taken down a little bit. These Democrats, all they want to do is spend our money. Debt ceiling, no problem. Omnibus, gigantic monstrosity omnibus bills, no problem. Inflation Reduction Act, which was insane, that they had to bribe Joe Manchin, threaten him, to vote for it. What is going on with Congress, and especially the Republicans? And I'm very surprised at Boebert and Biggs. Very.
Roman, you and I are so simpatico, my friend. It's like you're reading my mind. I couldn't agree with you more. No, and look, I can only add to what you're saying. What I just find mind-boggling, really, is you're willing to sink Trump's presidency? Really, as you put it, you're willing to allow a $4.5 trillion tax increase? A 70% tax increase? Like, do you not even care? Like, or at least pretend to care about the American people? This is what I just find it utterly amazing. And then they're petrified that the left is going to hurt them with this so-called Medicaid cuts. Look, it's a lie. And this is what Trump's telling them in private at these meetings. It doesn't cut. Look, no American citizen is getting their Medicaid taken away from them. That's a lie. In fact, it doesn't even cut Medicaid. It just slows the pace of its growth. So it's not even like it doesn't cut $1 out of Medicaid. So if you're poor, you're getting Medicaid. If you're disabled, you're getting Medicaid. If you're a single mom and pregnant, you're getting Medicaid. No one is being taken off of Medicaid except illegal aliens. The bill allows for 1.4 million illegals to now be expelled, to literally be kicked out of, to be rejected from the Medicaid rolls. So why? Now, and the left is like, well, look at this. They're kicking people off of Medicaid. Yes, because they're not Americans. They don't deserve it. They're not entitled to it. We pay for Medicaid. It should go for Americans, not to illegals. So that's it. And then the other thing, you touched on it, there is a work requirement for adults under Obamacare. So just to let you know, if you're an adult, not a child, but if you're an adult and you're covered by Obamacare and you're under the Medicaid provisions of Obamacare, then and you're an able-bodied adult, well, yeah, they say you should work 20 hours a week. Like, in other words, you shouldn't be collecting these welfare benefits for free. Just sit home and do nothing. If you can work, you should work. Now, I remember under Bill Clinton, on welfare reform, forget Medicaid, welfare, the check, the whole thing. You had to work 40 hours a week. You had to work 40 hours a week. It was called a workfare. This is not even 40 hours a week. This is 20 hours a week. And they're like, this is such a cut. Oh, my God, it's shredding the social safety net. No, it's not. Again, we're pushing Granny off a cliff. So, no, look, and that's why, and to me, what I find incredible, how many times do the Democrats have to lie? And yet, you, as Republicans, you continue to believe them? So you've got these idiot Republicans that are in his office, like Susan Collins, who ended up voting no. And she's like, it cuts too much from Medicaid. And Trump tried to explain to her, it doesn't cut anybody from Medicaid. It just cuts illegals off of Medicaid. And people who are scamming the system and they're engaging in fraud or it's waste or whatever. Or, you know, you're a healthy, young 30-year-old man. Well, get your ass off the couch and work 20 hours a week. Trump says, I don't think I'm asking for too much. Get a part-time job. And okay, you can keep your Medicaid insurance. So that's it. That's your big war. That's the big war on so-called Medicaid. No, look, you really want the truth. I'll tell you the truth. They could have cut hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars more. Now, they didn't because they have to get the rhinos and the so-called moderates in the House to sign off on it. But this idea that this thing is shredding the social safety net, cutting Medicare, cutting Medicaid, cutting food stamps, it's a lie. It denies food stamps to illegals. It denies Medicaid to illegals. It denies health care coverage to illegals, which, by the way, is against the law. So the bill is just reaffirming the law. And that's why Trump is saying, hey, look, he says, trust me, we're going to turn the economy around. We're going to secure our border. We're going to implement this massive, I promised you the biggest deportation in American history. I need the resources to do it. I promised you lower gas bills, lower energy, lower electricity. Did I say drill, baby, drill? I need oil refineries, natural gas, pipelines. It's in the bill. He said it again. Did I not tell you we're going to rebuild our military? Biden hollowed it out. Our stockpiles have been almost depleted. China surpassed us. They got a bigger navy. This poses serious threats to us in the Pacific Ocean. I got to rebuild the military. He promised it. He goes, I'm delivering. So he's basically saying, look, I told you no tax on tips. I'm delivering. No tax on overtime. I'm delivering. So his point is, so many of the things I campaigned on are in the bill. Now, we'll take care of spending. He said it repeatedly. But there's only so much you can do in one bill. Get people back on their feet. Get them working again. Get them having money in their pocket. Let's get the costs of groceries down. Gas, food, energy, electricity. And then we'll work on taking care of the deficit and the debt. Like, in other words, put the horse before the cart. First thing is first. Final word to you, Roman.
Yeah, Jeff. The Democrats, you know what? They did not care when Nancy Pelosi was like, if you want to know what's in the bill, you got to vote for it. But you have this gigantic Cory Booker talking 38 hours, and now this Hakeem Hoodrat Jeffries talking. Let's just get it done. Trump knows this because he's from the business world where everything happens in an instant, where Congress time is forever. You got to spend money to make money. Okay? Well, yeah, we might have to go up on the debt ceiling a little bit or whatever, but this bill also cuts regulations, and we really get to flex our muscles with tariffs, with drilling, with all kinds of things that make us money. And then, like you said, he could work on getting the deficit down. Hey, Jeff, you have a great 4th of July, you and your family.
Best to you and your family. Thank you, Roman. Have a happy 4th of July. No, you're completely right. You're absolutely completely right. Now, by the way, is there anybody out there, Kuhner country, that you disagree with the big, beautiful bill? That you think it spends too much, increases the debt too much, increases the deficit too much, or there are certain provisions you just don't like? Please, I'd love to hear from you. I want to hear all sides. To me, we're family. You know, that to me is the most important thing. So I know there are some Trump supporters who think maybe there are too many concessions in this bill, and I want to hear from you as well. 617-266-6868. Look, let me just say one other very quick thing because I want to go back to the phone lines. Trump understands more than anybody. He's got a very short window. That's why he's pressing for the July 4th deadline. He knows by the next summer, spring, maybe summer, with the midterms coming down next year, you can't get anything through Congress. Nothing. So if the economy is not booming, if it's not roaring again, if inflation is not dropping like a stone, if wages aren't rising, you see, that's the key. Because Biden raised prices so much, he has to now put more money in people's pockets. You have to have wages go up, more money to spend, so you can make up what Biden took away from us. So that's why he's saying, I've got to turn this economy around. And of course, the border disaster. So I've got to enforce the border and implement the biggest crackdown and the biggest deportation in history. Like, in other words, priorities. You got to have priorities. And it's sort of like, and he's still going. This guy's still going. It's clear now. Okay, this is 3 hours now. So it's obvious. What he's doing now, okay, it's either he's doing a mini filibuster. And I don't know if this is to wear Republicans out, so some will just leave and they won't get the votes that way because we're talking about a razor-thin margin, or this is political theater whereby Hakeem Jeffries playing to the liberal media, they're going to say, and the Democrats said this is such a disaster. This is going to be such a horrible bill. It's going to inflict so much damage that he just had to speak for hours upon hours upon hours on the House floor and shattering all records because this is a crisis. This bill cannot be passed. And so Hakeem just kept droning on and on and on. This is ridiculous. Look, he started at 5. You should have finished at 5:15. There's just, by the way, it taxes tax cuts for the wealthy, to pay on the backs of the poor. It cuts Medicare and Medicaid. Millions of people are going to lose their health insurance. Millions of people are going to die. You could say it even in 2 minutes, but you don't need more than 10 or 15 minutes because it's the same tape with them over and over again. So no, that he's going on for 3 hours like this. Now Mike Johnson is coming out talking to reporters and saying it's a stalling tactic. This guy's just going to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk to try to get Republicans either to doze off or some Republicans to leave or some Republicans to just give up and say, you know what, I want to go home and sleep because they've been up all night. So this is now their tactic. This is what they've been reduced to. And he's sweating like a pig. He's drenched in sweat. He pretty much looks like he's on the verge of passing out. Hakeem Jeffries is. And he's about halfway through that black binder. Halfway through, still pumping the hands, still with the gestures, the hand gestures, the finger pointing, and they're still all talking behind him. But some are looking more serious now, but they don't look like they're really listening. Like, you're kind of just staring into outer space as someone just drones on and on, bloviates. That's what's happening right now. What a waste of time. Honestly. Like, this is our Congress. Like, this is this is the one of the great deliberative bodies in the world, allegedly. Anyway, so look, quick point. Trump understands that speed is of the essence. You've got to get things done now. You got to get them quick while you still have a majority in the House and in the Senate, because by next year, everybody's thinking about re-election. You can't get anything done. And he's right. He's completely right. 617-266-6868. Sean in Indiana. Thanks for holding, Sean, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon, my friend.
So, I gotta. Again, I'll preface what I'm going to say with something I've said on to you before, which is I don't really consider myself a Republican. I was raised a Kennedy Democrat, voted Democrat. Trump was the first Republican I ever voted for. But I'm just not really for this bill. Actually, before I get into that, I don't like the whole we need to primary people that disagree with me thing. That's really that's very cancel culture-ish. They should be encouraged to have their own thoughts and not get in line if they don't agree with it, because they're there to represent the people that they, their districts or their states, not the president. But this, Elon Musk is right that this bill does not pay down the debt, and that needs to be the issue. It's a national security issue. We're very close to going over the hill, over the cliff. This country cannot sustain going into debt. And I agree in theory, on paper, everything about we're going to grow the economy and we're going to do this and all of that on paper makes sense. I understand that. This is my area. I'm a business guy. But the thing is that this country has a very short memory and the pendulum swings. And every 8 years, we just keep going back and forth between Democrats that want to increase spending and Republicans that want to cut taxes. And we've been saddled with an obscene amount of debt that is the equivalent to if you were on salary for $100,000 a year, that you have $130,000 in credit card debt. And now you're basically saying, well, I'm going to buy that new pair of shoes and put it on my credit card because I'll probably make more money next year. It's completely irresponsible. And it's not sustainable. We're very close to just it not. You've talked about it to so much length to exhaustion on your show about how we're the most indebted country in history, and even more so. I mean, because I do really understand it. Our debt is external. We owe it to foreign powers. We're not like Japan. Japan has a very high debt, but it's all internal. We owe all this money goes outside of our economy. All these things are great. Border wall, cutting taxes, they're all great. But if it's not balanced, it doesn't matter. If it increases the debt, it doesn't matter, right? He sounds like somebody that's going to try to get a loan, right? And saying, well, I've got collateral. Well, that's great, but you can't afford to pay it back. You can't afford the monthly payment. And that's basically where this country is going to be at in the next 5 years. You just got to stop the spending. And everybody would probably be on board. You got to cut more. You got to cut more. And the other thing is, too, is that it's very hypocritical. We've all been sitting here saying for how long the Democrats have these monstrosity bills that no one could possibly read and da-da-da-da-da. But then, because our guy wants to call it the big, beautiful bill, we're okay with that. And I'm not. I'm not okay with that. It should have been more single issues. There should have been multiple bills. And it doesn't do anything to address the debt in the short term.
Well, look, Sean, you're making very good points. Almost everything you said was a very, very good point. It's very rational, very logical, very coherent, very well argued. This is all I would say. This idea that we're 5 years away or 2 years away, and I know Elon keeps saying that, I think he's wrong. How do you come back from $37 trillion? That's where we are now. We have a $37 trillion national debt. We're not coming back. I don't know what, he thinks, well, it's 40 or 42 or no. And I'll prove it to everybody. At this point right now, literally, we spend $1 trillion a year just to service the interest on the debt. Not the debt, just the interest on the debt. $1 trillion. It's the biggest item now in the budget. $1 trillion every year just to pay the interest on the debt. We spend more on the interest on the debt than we do on the military, which is the biggest item. We literally, we don't even spend $1 trillion on the military, just under $1 trillion. More than on Social Security, more than on Medicare, more than on Medicaid, more than on food stamps. I can go on and on. So we're choking on debt. There's no coming back from this. So at this point, we're just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. We're going to have to repudiate the national debt. I'm telling you, there's no other way out. We're going to, and then, you mentioned, the country wants spending cuts. Trump didn't run on spending cuts. The country has no appetite for spending cuts. Congress has no appetite for spending cuts. Every single Democrat will demagogue it. They'll vote against it. And you think there are votes the Freedom Caucus and a couple of them, sure. But you think, I don't know, you think Susan Collins is going to vote for a spending cut? Susan Collins can't even take it that you have somebody who's going to have to work 20 hours a week to get Medicaid. Susan Collins doesn't even want illegals being put off of Medicaid. And the same goes for all of these liberal and rhino Republicans in the House from the Northeast. So you do serious spending cuts. What are you going to get? 150 votes in the House? Maybe 35, 40 votes in the Senate? So you have nothing. You literally have nothing. And what's going to happen if we do nothing? You're going to have no border wall, no border enforcement, no mass deportations. You're going to have a 70% increase in taxes. The taxes are going to go up automatically because the Trump tax cuts expire, which is going to lead to a massive recession. Never mind all of us paying a ton more in taxes. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Mike literally just asked me if is Hakeem Jeffries still speaking? Yes. Yes, of course he's still speaking. So Mike said, well, maybe we could ask the audience, like, over under. Does anybody out there think, all right, will he finish before the show? Will he? That's the question now. Will he finish before the show? Or do you think he's going to finish after the show? I think he's going to finish after the show. That means I think he's going to go on for at least another hour, 40 minutes. This is, that would be 5 hours. Now, all kidding aside, who can talk for 5 hours straight? Like, there's no bathroom break. Nothing. No, it's not like you're eating or drinking. I mean, you can drink, I guess, a bit of water, but outside of that, you're just going on and on, hour after hour after hour after hour. And I'm thinking, like, what? You hold it in? I mean, if you got to go to the bathroom, you got to go. And but no, this guy just keeps on. I don't know if they're wearing adult diapers or, I'm serious. I don't know what they're doing. But they just keep going and going and going and going. And so I think he wants to do basically a filibuster, not even a mini filibuster. Really? 7 hours straight, Mike. But he goes to the bathroom. He doesn't go to the bathroom. All right. So Mike says that the NFL red zone guy who does it for every Sunday during the fall, during football season for the NFL, He does it for 7 hours straight. And when asked, and you don't even have to go to the bathroom, he says, no, I don't go to the bathroom. So, you see, like, I have to eat because of my blood sugar every couple of hours, even if it's just a banana or, whatever, a yogurt or an oatmeal bar or whatever. I have to have something or else my blood sugar gets too low. So, number one, I couldn't do it because I got to eat. And I'm just telling you, with my bladder and the amount of water that I drink, there's no way I could go 5 hours straight without going to the bathroom. Never mind 7 or 8 or 10. So I don't know. I don't know if they're wearing adult diapers. I don't know if they take something. If there's a tablet or a pill you can take and suddenly you don't have to go to the toilet for, half the day or whatever. But he's looking tired. I got to say, he's sweating. He doesn't look as good as he did about an hour ago. So he may be starting to run out of gas. 617-266-6868. Okay. This is from 617. You can text the Kuhner man, 70470, 70470. And 617 makes a really good point. Jeff, the delirious objection by the Democrats is proof enough why this bill, the big, beautiful bill, even in its whittled away and imperfect form, will sink the Democrats for decades. Why? Because it will succeed. Well, I got to tell you, I mean, if you're just looking by the reaction of the media and the reaction of the left and the reaction of Democrats, this is a nightmare. They hate this bill with a passion, with every fiber in their being, because I think they know it will guarantee prosperity. It will guarantee a booming, growing economy, and it will undo, think about it, everything they tried to do by invading our country with illegal aliens. So, this destroys much of what the Democrats tried to achieve under both Obama and Biden. Let me read one more and then go back to the blazing phone lines. This is from 508. Jeff, here is my respectful reply to Sean in Indiana, who seemed to prioritize the debt versus deportations. We can always fix the debt. Without the deportations, there will be no country left for which to fix the debt. Well, that's a brilliant point. That's a brilliant point. You allow the illegals to stay, all 15, 20 million that Biden brought in, on top of the 15 to 20 million that were there already before. This country's not coming back. We're not coming back. Then the invasion will have won. The invasion will have been successful. What Trump is desperately trying to do is to reverse it, to defeat it, to repel it, and to undo what Biden did in 4 years. And that's why there's so much in this bill that will build a wall, that will permanently seal the border, and that will add thousands of ICE agents, Border Patrol agents, build countless detention facilities to conduct the biggest mass deportation in American history. So for Trump, this is about winning the border war and winning and pushing back the invasion. So that's, if the bill goes down, as Homan says, ICE will not be able to achieve what we want to achieve. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Mike was in my ear talking as he was playing the, Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA, coming in and saying to me, Jeff, I don't care if this guy's a left-wing nut job. I love this song. To which I was saying back to him, this is before I just came on the air now, I said, Mike, you know that this song is an anti-war song. It's an anti-Vietnam War song. Mike said, I didn't know that, and I don't care. I just love to keep hearing Born in the USA. So Mike is, I don't care what the song says. I don't care what Springsteen's politics are. I just love to keep hearing born in the USA. Born in the USA. 617. Mike is obviously feeling very patriotic, as he should. 617-266-6868. Okay. Well, we were on the cusp about, 3.5 hours ago. The final bill is now ready to be voted on the House floor. The big, beautiful bill. All the procedural hurdles have now been cleared. It was going to be a do or die vote until Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, decided to open his mouth. And he was going to deliver the last speech, and then after his speech, they're going to vote. And it's been 3 hours and 33 minutes and counting. He has not stopped yakking. On and on and on and on he's been going. And so, it takes all the drama out of it with this guy. And he's just repeating himself. Just repeating. So here we are. Eventually, I guess, even he has to go to the bathroom. Even he has to put something in his stomach. Even he, his voice will eventually, get hoarse. Even he eventually, what was it? Cory Booker went 26 hours. So maybe they can push this till tomorrow. He'll just talk until tomorrow. But eventually even he will have to give up. And then we're going to have the final vote. Will it pass? Should it pass? Do you support President Trump's big, beautiful bill? This is the pivotal moment of his presidency. Everything now is on the line. Should we pass it or not pass it? That is now the question. Tim in South Carolina. Thanks for holding, Tim, and welcome.
And good morning again, Jeff.
Hi,
Hope
Tim.
All is well with you.
Happy 4th of July, Tim. All the best to you and your family.
You too. Thank you, Jeff. This reeks of desperation. I think he's taking instructions from his handlers. You made a very good point earlier. Big pharma, medical industry, they are doing everything they can. They're paying these people off, I'm sure. Maybe they're promising them jobs after their terms come to an end. But I think there's globalist influence here. They know that his presidency, they do not want him to be accomplished. They want to destroy it. I think with this delay here, I don't know what's going on in the background. I think he's taking instructions. The globalists are desperate. Big pharma, big industry, desperate, Jeff. Bill from Sudbury, I hope he calls in because I'm sure he has garlic wrapped around his neck and he's probably praying that this gets shot down.
Well, Tim, and I promise I'll let you finish, but I can just tell you by the text line, I've never seen it like this from liberals. We get a lot of texts from liberals, don't get me wrong, the crazy moonbats, but outside of Trump winning in 2016 and in 2024, outside of the day after the election, okay, outside of that, I've never had more texts from moonbats than today. And they revile this bill. They loathe it. They hate it. This is a jihad for them. They can't stand it. And they're petrified that it may pass. They were so hopeful last night when Thomas Massie, a Kentucky Republican, came out and said, I've got a block of 10 Republicans. And he said, these are diehard no's. He goes there. You can't break them. You can't persuade them. You can't convince them. They're going to sink this bill and they're going to sink Trump's presidency with it. And remember, they just need 4. And Massie was bragging, saying it's me and 10 others. So I've got a block of 11, myself included. And so they thought they had him. The left was already starting to pop champagne corks, saying, we're going to humiliate Trump. We're going to beat him now, and all of his campaign promises are going to go up in smoke. So now that there's the vote coming and they've managed to squeak by all of these procedural hurdles. And it looks like Johnson may hold the defections to 3, not 4. 4 sinks it, but 3, which means it'll pass by 1 vote. I've never seen this. You're completely right. The panic, the hatred, the fear, the loathing. So their reaction is telling me there's a lot in this bill that's got to be very good. I mean, it's obvious. And look, honestly, Tim, their biggest project for the last 25 years was to swamp and flood our country with illegals. What is this bill going to do if it passes? It's an army now to deport every single illegal alien. It's going to be massive deportations, rapid deportations. You can do not 3,000 a day. You can do 5,000 a day, even 10,000 a day. Because you're going to have many more ICE agents, many more Border Patrol agents. You're going to have literally a war chest at your disposal to conduct a massive deportation operation. So this is going to undo what the Democrats and the rhinos have been trying to do for the last 20, 25 years. So that's part of it. And I think the other part, really, the economy is going to soar. And it's not just going to soar for Wall Street. They're not just going to goose the stock market. It's going to be a broad-based expansion. It's going to lead to big jobs, good paying jobs for middle working class people. The Trump Republicans will be known as the party of peace and prosperity, especially for ordinary working class Americans. And so they know politically this bill is the Democrats' death knell. And that's why they're fighting tooth and nail to derail it right now at the last possible second. Tim, final word to you, my friend.
I'm just going to reiterate the fact that he's taking instructions. I think that he's hearing from the globalists. They have to have the United States. Hopefully the bill passes. It's after the bill passes. This is another failure for them. Don't mean to sound like a fearmonger, but after the bill passes, and hopefully it does, we pray that it does, they're so desperate, I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, this is the end for them. I'm not saying, there's 3.5 more years in Trump's presidency, but now they're completely routed. Remember, the tax cut, Trump's tax cut, which they hate, even more than Bush's tax cut, will now be made permanent. No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. How do you counter that if you're a Democrat? And then there's another provision, we've barely discussed it, but Trump insisted on what he called like a kind of a baby accounts. So every child, every baby, doesn't matter race, religion, creed, born between 2025 and 2028, basically the years of his presidency, every baby born will get $1,000 put into their account, into a baby account. And it's up to the parents. They can use the $1,000 right away to buy baby food or buy diapers. But if they prefer, they can take the $1,000 and invest it in the stock market for the baby, as the child grows up, or in some kind of an account to pay for their education. And Trump's point is, you can't believe how you can empower yourself with a simple $1,000 for every child the moment they're born. You put it in an account, and if you just invest it smartly on the stock market, you're looking at enough money to pay for college or enough money to set themselves up maybe for a down payment on a home. So this is going to revolutionize how so many people look at the Republican Party, because now you're creating an empowerment society. And that's a big thing in this bill as well. So I got to tell you, Tim, if they pass this bill, he's almost beaten the Democrats now on every front. Tim, thank you very much for that call. And what are they going to do next? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, just very, very quick. I don't want to get into the weeds because really once you start getting into the budget and, the long-term debt and deficits, it can get very boring very fast. But just super quick. The media, the Democrats are really playing up the fact this will add to the deficit, it'll add to the debt. And they're citing the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office. Now, first of all, the Congressional Budget Office is essentially a Democrat-run operation. So remember that. It's not nonpartisan. It's in theory nonpartisan. In reality, it's not. More importantly, the CBO has been wrong so often. Seriously, if I had $1 for every time they were wrong, I'd be a millionaire. And so they're basing all of this off of these CBO numbers. And so why are they claiming it's going to add over $3 or even $4 trillion to the debt? Because the Congressional Budget Office is assuming, listen to this, that over the next 10 years, economic growth, should the bill pass, will only be a very weak, anemic 1.8%. Basically, that we're still going to be in a Biden economy for the next 10 years. Weak growth, no wage gains, no worker productivity, no, massive business investment and investor confidence, no restoration of American manufacturing. So we're just going to have an economy that's just going to limp along for the next 10 years. So that's how they get to a $3.3 or a $4.3 trillion deficit and add, what it adds to the national debt. Trump's point, and he's completely right. He goes, are you kidding me? Once we make these tax cuts permanent and all the other tax provisions we have in there, which is going to really stimulate growth, stimulate investment, stimulate jobs, stimulate consumer confidence, put money in the pockets of workers and middle-class people, you're going to have economic growth at 3.5%. In other words, double of what they're projecting. If the economy just grows at 3%, which I think is a bit low, but let that go, forget adding anything to the debt. It literally then will cut the deficit by several $100 billion. In other words, it won't even add a cent to the debt. So the point being is that even the claims about, well, this thing is a backbreaker when it comes to the debt and deficits, yeah, if you assume the CBO numbers. And, Rush Limbaugh was brilliant on this sort of stuff. Rush said, you never trust the Congressional Budget Office. They always lie in favor of the Democrats. So I'm telling you, we're not going to have you pass this bill, you're not getting 1.8% growth. You're not even getting 2 or 2.5% growth. You're going to get 3, 3.5, 4% growth. Easy. It really will usher in a new economic golden age. And to just think, okay, this is what you're going to remember the first 3 years of Trump's first term. How the economy soared. And by the way, the stock market skyrocketed. But businesses never did better. Working middle class people, their take home pay never did better. That's exactly what's going to happen again. Remember, it was the pandemic that shut down Trump's roaring economy. So unless there's another pandemic outside of something like that, you're going to have the Trump economy 2.0. It's going to be a booming, soaring, roaring economy. And that's another reason why Democrats are petrified of this bill. Because politically, once this boom takes place, the Republicans and the Trump MAGA Republicans, Trump will now be invincible politically. He will be a juggernaut. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Debbie in Milton. Thanks for holding, Debbie, and welcome.
Yeah, hi, Jeff.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. As far as the big, beautiful bill goes, I believe that there are over 70-plus million people that voted for President Trump and this big, beautiful bill. And I also believe on the left, they are like the walking dead. They want to see everything turn bad, gray. They don't want to see success. They're going to deplete Medicaid by allowing illegals to be able to have Medicaid that they did not put any money into, as have Americans. And the other thing is, they are not looking to see President Trump succeed no matter which way he turns. The Democrats always stick together. The Republicans tend to sway. If they could ever get the Republicans to stay together, then we would win, and President Trump would win. Our country would win. But unfortunately, we have at least 7 Republicans that call themselves Republicans that are actually Democrats. They're like the walking dead. And that's basically what I have to say, because they're going to sink us. If we don't get this bill approved, they are going to sink us. Just 8 of them.
Well, look, I think you put your finger on it. Over 77, pretty much 78 million Americans voted for Donald Trump. And I don't need to remind you and the audience, but just, again, it's been 6 months now, pretty much 6 months, since Trump was inaugurated, okay? It's just slightly less, but humor me. He's basically now 6 months into his presidency. Now, he won the popular vote. He won a massive majority in the Electoral College. He ran the table. He won every single swing state. 7 out of 7. He won it all. He campaigned on the biggest tax cuts in American history. That's what he campaigned on. He campaigned on securing the border and the biggest deportation in American history. That's a big reason why he won. He campaigned on drill, baby, drill. I mean, I could go on and on. He said, I'm going to rebuild the military. You vote for me, this is what I want. This is what you're going to get. So all of this and more, he campaigned on. Look, Nevada, the reason why he won Nevada, as an example, no tax on tips. A lot of people, a lot of waiters, waitresses, servers, bartenders, the service industry is huge in Nevada. Obviously, Las Vegas, Reno, right? Gambling, casinos, hotels. So he won Nevada because of no tax on tips. No tax on overtime. That played very well in blue-collar states like Michigan and Wisconsin. A lot of hard hats, a lot of working people. They work extra. They work Saturday. They work longer hours, construction, whatever it is at the factory floor. That's a big thing to have no tax on overtime. So what I'm saying is he has an overwhelming mandate. Lauren Boebert doesn't. Andy Harris doesn't. I'm just giving the names of these. Thomas Massie doesn't. And then, so the argument is, well, their job is to back their constituents. Okay. Ask Thomas Massie's in his district. Poll them. Do they support the big, beautiful bill or are they against the big, beautiful bill? I'm telling you, they support the big, beautiful bill. Now, all of the holdouts, Lauren Boebert, I'm telling you, you ask the people that voted for her, because she's got a lot of Democrats in her riding, in her district. Forgive me. I'm not talking about them, but to those that voted for Boebert, do you want the big, beautiful bill? The answer is yes. So not only did the American electorate, American voters vote for this, but I'm telling you, all of these idiots that are the holdouts in their own districts, their people support it. So you're putting your ego, your selfishness, your whatever promises you think you're getting or whatever payoffs you think you're getting, but you're putting your agenda over that of your own constituents and over that of the voters of the United States. That's why I respectfully disagree with Sean. Sean says, well, this is part of cancel culture. It's not part of cancel culture. No one's censoring them. They can say whatever they want. Hey, no one's going to hold a gun to their head. You want to vote against the big, beautiful bill? You want to sink it? Okay, I was going to say, any minute now, but no. Hakeem Jeffries is still talking. Okay, this guy's going to go on till noon. This guy's not going to shut up today. But anyway, the point is, if you want to sink it, sink it. But I'm sorry, you're going to be held accountable. So you're going to defy the will of the American people. You're going to defy your own constituents, your own voters. And you think there's not going to be a political price to pay? No, we just want to let you know. We're never going to forget it. We're never going to forgive you politically. We're never going to forgive you. And you're going to be primaried. And you're going to be out of a job. And your name is going to be mud. Because it should be mud. Now, I'm sorry. But the President Trump's entire administration, his presidency now, hangs in the balance. The big, beautiful bill is his bill. He has fought for it for 6 months. He has demanded it for 6 months. 85% of his campaign promises and his priorities are squeezed into this bill. I know there's a lot of bad stuff in it. That's how you make the sausage in Congress. Okay? Sad to say. But 85% of what Trump campaigned on is in the bill. Now, I'm sorry. Pass the damn bill. Final word to you, Debbie.
Well, all they have to do is follow the money trail. And somebody mentioned on your show about the globalists being behind it and the pharmaceutical companies. But if you even look in Massachusetts, you have Revere Beach, it's polluted, South Boston and other beaches. There are no globalists around. There are none. But again, follow the money trail. And yeah, they will be primary. The ones that are going against 70 plus million people that voted for this, they are going to get theirs because what goes around comes around.
Debbie, have a wonderful 4th of July. Thank you so much for that call. Very well said. Victor in Maryland. Thanks for holding, Victor, and welcome.
Good morning, America's talk show host. I am extremely angry right now. And if I were a Republican being forced to listen to this guy go on and on and on, I would vote yes just to shut him up permanently. And I'm starting to hear, I'm flipping back and forth, I'm starting to hear people starting to heckle the guy. Keep it up. Start heckling him. This is great. I love it. And from what I'm hearing, I can tell by listening to him, he's starting to get tired. He's starting to run out of gas. So it's going to come to an end sooner than later. And I bet you he'll end it after your show.
Well, look, Victor, this is breaking right now. Again, if you want to see how stupid, I'm sorry, it's the only word that comes to mind. If you want to see how incompetent, these Democrats are and counterproductive, again, how they just keep Trump derangement syndrome. They want to rain on his parade. Look, this is what I think their calculation was. They fear that now they have the votes, that the Republicans have the votes. Probably one vote, whatever, 215, 214, whatever it's going to be, or, 216 to 215, whatever it is, that they have that one vote, razor thin margin to pass it. And guess what? They're going to pass it just before July 4th, right before Trump's self-imposed deadline. And so Trump, either later today or even better tomorrow, on the 4th of, on Independence Day, okay, on the 4th of all days, is going to sign the big, beautiful bill to a lot of hoopla and congratulations. And so they're trying to rain on his parade. And they're just trying to ruin it now. Well, guess what? One of the no votes, the diehards, that were going to vote against the bill, said they're so sickened and disgusted by Hakeem Jeffries' tactics on the House floor that he said, you know what? I'm sorry. They just got me to a yes. So literally, this guy just cost the Democrats a key Republican vote. He just pulled out another binder. Yeah. Oh, he's got a ton of binders. Oh, no. This is going to go on all day. Oh, this is going to go all day. Yeah. So he just pulled out another binder. I think it's black as well. I think they're all black, eh, Mike? That's a white binder? Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, so my bad. I could be wrong on this. But anyway, he pulled out another binder. But on the floor, there's a stack of binders. And by the way, and everybody's in the chamber because they're all waiting for the final vote. So you have to understand, all these members of Congress, hey, look, I'm not sympathetic to these guys. You know how what I think of members of Congress. But you know what it is to sit down for 4 hours? Like you're just sitting and sitting and sitting and sitting and sitting. I mean, come on, man. That's no joke. So, no, he's now become such a pain in the rear end, a pain in the you-know-where, that he literally just lost himself one Republican. And now I'm starting to change. Mike, I'm starting to change my mind. Keep talking, baby. Keep talking. I think even Thomas Massie is going to end up voting yes on this bill. So you're gonna talk him to 220. Forget 216, 220. Victor, final word to you, my friend.
I said, Republicans, start heckling him. Call him a liar every time he opens his mouth. Really keep it up. This guy is going to get really ticked off when the Republicans start yelling liar, liar, pants on fire.
I love it, Victor. I agree with you. Like, I'm all for decorum, but this is ridiculous. And he's just, by the way, he's just repeating himself. Like, it's the same thing over and over and over and over. I mean, it's so mind-numbingly boring. So, no, this is going to blow up in their face. Again, this is going to blow up in their face. Victor, thank you very, very much for that call. Really good call. Look, it's a joke. Hakeem Jeffries is a joke. The Democrats now come across as a joke. If they have the votes, they have the votes. Have the vote and sayonara. Everybody goes home for the 4th of July. I don't know what else to tell you. If they don't have the votes, well, then they don't have the votes. Then the bill goes down and Trump's presidency takes a massive blow. But this, 4 hours and counting, and how long are you going to keep everybody there? I mean, honestly, this is pathetic. 617-266-6868 is the number. Gibby in Malden. Thanks for holding, Gibby, and welcome.
Jeff.
Gibby.
The reason... How are you, my friend?
I am good. How are you, Gibby?
Very good. I'm actually I'm ecstatic that this guy, and Jeffries is nothing but a fearmonger. You got to remember the CBO. Where were they when the Democrats were running up trillions of dollars of debt? Remember the line, oh, the American economy weakened $45 trillion of debt and not even think about it. It's actually good for the economy. Remember all that baloney?
Gibby, not only that, just to show you how right you are, okay? Remember when Biden was racking up like $2 trillion deficits every year? I mean, he was piling up debt upon debt. Do you know what they said? Deficits don't matter. Remember that? They had Paul Krugman from the New York Times, the Washington Post. Then you had all these Democrats coming out. Deficits don't matter. Debt doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Now, all of a sudden, Gibby, Trump is in the White House. Big, beautiful bill. And you and I get a tax break, Gibby. Can you imagine that? We get a little money in our pocket. And gas will come down. And groceries will come down. And the illegals are going to start getting deported now in massive record numbers. And now, all of a sudden, Gibby, something a little bit for us. And suddenly, oh my God, the sky's falling. Gibby, oh my God, it's going to add to the debt. Oh my God, we're all going to die. They're such phonies. It's unbelievable. Please, Gibby, you're on a roll. Keep going.
The other thing you gotta remember, this comes to fruition, okay? Think about $2 a gallon gas. Think about 3-4% growth. Think about wages going up, no inflation. He gets rid of the idiot that's running the Federal Reserve, and you're able to borrow money again at sub 3% level. Think about how he's going to go down in history. All the crap they tried to do to him, and they failed. And honest to God, Bill from Sudbury should actually never, ever poke his head up again, because the party that he belongs to has been a dismal failure. Everything they've tried that's turned around and bit them right in the backside. The stuff that they pulled is just incredible. And they see, I guarantee you, they see the midterms slipping away, especially if he gets what he wants in this bill and things.
Bingo. Gibby, you're a genius. You're a genius. I'm telling you. Bingo. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I'm not kidding. This is the text message on my private phone that I got from my son, Ashton. Dad, I'm listening to your show, and I'm also now watching Fox News. Why is that man talking all the time? He's referring to Hakeem Jeffries. Dad, why won't he stop talking? Yeah, that's a good question, Ashton. You know, honestly, a couple of you are messaging me on Messenger saying, Jeff, really, no joke. Are there medics on the floor? Some of these people are, they're in their 70s. Some of them are in their 80s. Some of them are like, 85, really genuinely 85, 86, 87, 88. They're not spring chickens anymore. I mean, this guy just keeps going on and on and on. Somebody just may pass out. Bill in Westwood. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
Why do they bundle all these different topics into one big bill? Like, shouldn't Planned Parenthood be funding Planned Parenthood, or the industrial military complex, or travel to Mars? Shouldn't these issues all stand on their own vote?
Yes. You're Bill. Look, you're completely right. In theory, I'm with you 1,000%. I'm just going to give you the reason on, for example, this big, beautiful bill, okay? When pressed, you say, well, give us just a single bill. They go, well, the rules in the Senate are then because of the filibuster. Then the filibuster is in play, which means you need 60 votes to break a filibuster. And so the argument that they used with Trump was, if we're going to do these standalone bills, we're going to have to get Democrats because we only have 53 votes. we're going to have to get at least 7 Democrats every time to cross the aisle. And they're like, they're never going to cross the aisle for anything. Never mind 7 of them. You can't get 1, never mind 7. So the argument is the only way to then, if you want to get everything that Trump wants in, is to use what's called the budget reconciliation process. And only through the budget reconciliation process that you only need 51 votes. And that's when you put everything into one big bill. And even then, the Senate parliamentarian, as you know, she can vote and she can say, well, this is technically not a budgetary issue. And then she can kick out certain provisions. She can get rid of certain provisions. But the reason why, just explain to you, they didn't go that route, which is the route I prefer of, just, you're right. Look, do we want to colonize Mars? Vote on it, up or down. Do you want illegal aliens on Medicaid? Up or down? Like, just take your, whatever issue you want, up or down. Single issue bills. I'm with you. The only reason is it takes the filibuster. You can filibuster it, and you need 60 votes to break the filibuster. And the way they're so polarized in the Senate, the Republicans are not even close to 60. That's why they went the route of the big, beautiful bill. I'm just giving you the explanation, Bill.
I guess frustrated people calling in saying, "Oh, they completely understand it and they support Trump." I'm like, "Oh yeah, sometimes," but
Bill, you're literally breaking up on me. I haven't. It's not that I don't want to deal with your call or your criticisms of Trump or of the big beautiful bill, but I think you're in a dead zone. Or let's try to reestablish. Bill, are you there? Can you hear me? Bill? We lost Bill. Bill, if you can, call back because I want to get your take. No, I prefer single issue bills. To me, that's the way, it used to be run in our country for hundreds of years. And they've only started doing these big mega bills over about the last 30, 35 years. And it's, look, think about it. Look at when our deficits have begun to explode. It directly correlates with these massive mega bills. It's much harder to rack up a big debt or big deficits if you have everybody accountable for every single item and every single vote. But it's these 2, 3, 4,000 page bills. That's when you can stuff all this pork, stuff all of these projects, and that's what just racks up the national credit card. That's when the spending just gets out of control. Paul in Rhode Island. Thanks for holding, Paul, and welcome.
Hello?
Paul, you're on the air. Go ahead.
All right. You ever stop and think that as soon as, Hakeem Jeffrey, according to you, has been talking for over 4 hours. You ever stop and think that some of the Democrats might defect and vote for the big, beautiful bill?
Well, it's a strategy. I think they want him to talk. That's the point. And, I've noticed they're taking turns at people who sit behind him. You see, they're playing to the cameras. So what they want to do is they want to create the sense of Democrat unity. And so they have people, sitting behind him in the chamber as he speaks, but they keep rotating the people. There's always different members of Congress. So they get to leave the chamber, whatever, stretch their legs, grab breakfast, talk on the phone. But no, it's obvious now. They want to rain on Trump's parade. They want to delay this vote as much as possible. And they're hoping that by delaying, A, it embarrasses Trump, or B, it gets enough Republicans, maybe a couple of them who were yes, but, previously no, maybe they'll flip back again to a no. Or God knows, maybe they're working the phones. Some of their lobbyists and stuff are working the phones and promising some of these Republicans, making them an offer. Look, you still can vote no. He hasn't finished speaking. And put something on the table or bribe them for them to go from a yes to a no. I mean, I don't put anything behind these people anymore. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, it's obvious now. Strategy's out of the bag. The Democrats now are basically doing a speakathon, basically a mini filibuster. It's a marathon speech being delivered by House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. He is the last person to speak before they make a final vote on the big, beautiful bill in the House. Now, at about 5 o'clock this morning, it came out that Johnson was confidently telling people in the media they have hit 216 votes. It would be 216 to 215, and that the bill would pass by a very super slim, razor-thin one-vote majority, but they had it. Then Hakeem Jeffries took the floor at 5 and has not stopped talking, literally, for 4.5 hours. He's just going on and on, binder after binder, and apparently there's a stack of binders right beside him, so this may go on for even many more hours. So, which begs the question, why? And the speculation is, again, it's just speculation, but the speculation is that they're trying to some way have that final yes vote go back to a no vote. There were about 11 Republicans who claimed to be a hard no. This was last night at about 10 o'clock in the evening. They slowly whittled away one by one. Trump called many of them. Trump invited them to the White House. They were talking till midnight. Speaker Mike Johnson was talking with them. And one by one, they began to come around. So, and apparently there's 3 defections, 3 hard no's. There was 4, but that 4th flipped to a yes. So it looks like it's going to be or at least it was going to be 216, 215. Hakeem Jeffries now is talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, and it's to buy time to either try to persuade that final Republican who was a no, became a yes, to flip back to a no, or they're trying to influence him, or they're trying to offer him something, or whatever. Something is going on behind the scenes. And so the strategy is now to just string this along, drag out the clock, keep this thing going hour after hour after hour in the hopes that they can pick off one more Republican. We shall see if their strategy will succeed. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. Just very, very quickly, I wanted to share this with all of you. As you know, tomorrow is July 4th. I'm going to be off. Very special day for me. I love 4th of July. I'm going to be with my family. We always have a wonderful cookout. Burgers, hot dogs on the barbecue. We'll be attending, obviously, a fireworks show. Ashton and Ava love the fireworks. So Ashton always waves the American flag, and so does Ava. So it's a very, very nice day and a very special day in our home. What has really touched me is every time I even take a day off, so many of you will text the Kuhner Man, email me, message me. I miss you. I wish you were on the air. You're like family to us. You're like a close friend to us. And I've always looked at this incredible audience as part of my extended radio family. I truly mean this. And I got this email, and I just want to read it because this wonderful woman was part of our family. I mean, the Kuhner country family. And she's now gone. And so this email that I received, I got it yesterday. I won't mention the last name. Her name is Danelle. And here is what she wrote me. It's about, the subject heading is my mother. Dear Jeff, my elderly mother, Thelma Colson of Haverhill, was a devoted listener of yours. For years, she would get up early every morning to listen to you, and as someone who lived alone and didn't get much company, you were a quote-unquote morning visitor she had come to think of as a friend. You gave her things to think about, issues to get passionate about, and a reason to get up in the morning. She was very fond of you and was lost when you were absent or on vacation. My mother, who had started declining, died suddenly last week. Still in the home she loved at the age of 86. We are burying her tomorrow, and our hearts are broken. If you could remember her in your prayers, I would be so grateful. And this is the part that really, I got to say, really touched me. Thank you for the many years of presence and engagement you gave to her. She wasn't the sort to ever call in, but for an elderly, lonely woman who had little left in her life except her home, her birds, her dog, and her immediate family, you were to her a friend. I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to keep it for the rest of my life. I wrote back to Danelle, and I said to her, I want you to know, Danelle, that Thelma will be in my thoughts and prayers. And I will definitely be praying for her on Sunday when I go to church. And I was truly privileged that she was able to share the show with me, with all of us, for all those years. And I hope that God blesses Thelma Colson, Danelle, and their entire family. Thelma Colson, rest in peace. That's why I do this show. Honest to God, I don't do it for the money. I really don't. I don't do it for the fame or the attention. I really don't. I do it for the audience. I do it because I love the job. I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. But to me, it's that we, like-minded patriots, people who love our country, people who believe in God, country, and family, who believe in our Constitution, who believe in this great country called America, that we can come together every day, Monday to Friday, for 4 hours and talk about the most important issues of the day and share this bond that we have together. Our love of country, our love of God, our love of family, but our love for one another. And so I want to give my deepest condolences to Danelle on the loss of Thelma Colson. And I want to thank her for writing me this very powerful, moving email. And again, to Thelma Colson, you're in my thoughts, you're in my prayers. May God watch over you, and may God grant you eternal peace. 617-266-6868 is the number. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank all of you for taking me into your family, into your home, into your car, into your living room. And I want you to know that just as Thelma thought of me as a friend, I think of all of you as a very dear friend and honestly as a member of my family. 617-266-6868. Arthur in Winthrop. Thanks for holding, Arthur, and welcome.
Very nice you did that.
It was from the heart, and thank you, Mike.
It was.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I stayed up election night all night. I've been up all night. This is the whole ball of wax for us. We got to get the snowflake to shut up. You know what I mean? The snowflake's going to melt. The guy behind him fell asleep, the first two guys, right? And when I first saw it, the guy was clean-shaven. By 6 o'clock, he looked like Fred Flintstone. He was sitting there. He looked like Brian Dennehy. I don't know what. He's a Democratic liberal snowflake, too. But he's sitting there. He's nodding. Yeah. They started nodding off. But
Arthur, please hang on. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I just want to give a quick shout out to Ginger Betty. Thank you for the incredible food drop. Oh, some incredible, delicious cookies. And I love all the American flags that came with them. Ashton and Ava are going to... Ashton and Ava, thank you. I thank you. We all thank you. Okay, very, very quick. This is from 917. Why is Hakeem Jeffries doing this, Jeff? The answer, the Democrats are hoping that one, quote-unquote, yes, GOP House member will have a stroke, a heart attack, a family crisis, or a bribe, or a threat that can't be refused, or at the very least, push the vote past the 4th of July to deny Trump the win. I wish I could disagree with you, 917, but I can't. I mean, it's such an obviously disgusting stunt, a cheap stunt. But, look, I got to give him his due. It's almost 5 hours now. And this guy, he keeps going like the Ever-Ready Bunny. He just keeps going and going and going. Me, I would have passed out by now. Annie, or at a minimum, bathroom break. Like, seriously, 5 hours? Hey, and he's chugging down the liquids. It's just sip after sip after sip after sip. I swear, I'd kill to have this guy's bladder. Me, every hour and a half, I drink a lot of water on the show. I got to go to the bathroom, for God's sake. This guy, 5 hours now, sip after sip. How many bottles of water has this guy polished off? Nothing. He just keeps on trucking. I mean, eventually duty will call. You're right. Look, he's sipping water again now. I'm thinking, seriously, the bladder that this guy must have, or it's an adult diaper. It's either one or the other. Annie in Chelsea. Thanks for holding, Annie, and welcome.
Hello.
Annie.
Hello. Greetings from the sanctuary city of Chelsea, the #1 party city, located in the country of Venezuela. Jeff, I love you in a non-sexual way. Jeff, I am all for the big, beautiful bill. This morning, I looked out my window, and my street was jam-packed with yellow school buses. And I asked one of the teachers, I thought school was out. She said, oh, no, this is summer school. And I said, for who? And she said, oh, for the middle school. And then I see a bus coming from Lowell, another bus from another city. It's for the illegals.
Incredible.
Right? Now, Jeff, I pay taxes on my pension. I pay property taxes, okay? And this is what I'm paying for? Where's the beef?
Well, Annie, I'm so happy you called, because this is what Trump now is going to reverse. That's why the Democrats are petrified of this bill. Now the illegals, we're going to have the money. I mean, $170 billion. That's a lot of money. That's going to get you a lot of ICE agents and a lot of detention facilities. And now they're going to go in places exactly like Chelsea and other areas in Mass and all across the country. And the illegals are going to start going back home. And so they were so close. They were inches away from just completely conquering America and having the illegals now become their new voters. And this complete transformation, demographic, economic, social, cultural. And now look at this, at the 11th hour, if this bill gets through, all these illegals are going to go back. And so this project that the Democrats have been on for 25 years, he's going to undo it right here, right now. And this bill passes in a couple of years, it's going to be no more summer school for the illegals, because there aren't going to be any illegals. And that's why Hakeem Jeffries is about to blow his bladder right there on the House floor. because he knows that's exactly what's going to happen if this bill passes. Annie, God bless you and have a wonderful 4th of July. Pat in Braintree. Thanks for holding, Pat, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Pat.
Long time listener. Start off at 6 a.m. with you.
Welcome, Pat.
Thank you, my friend. I just wanted to comment on your letter you received. That was unbelievable. And for a guy who is kind of on his own pretty much, I have a wife and kids and grandkids and all that, but I'm alone all the time. You were my go-to guy in the morning. It's like one of the first things I have to do, and then I listen to you and I quote you during the day. It's hilarious. And, you know what? I do cheat on you later in the day because I watch The Five and then I watch Gutfeld. So, but I just want to say that letter was so spot on how people feel about you, Jeff. Seriously.
Oh, thank you.
I trust what you say. It's same with the wife. When I drive her to work in the morning, we got you on. I pick her up. You're already off, but she goes, "Oh, what did I miss during the day, or whatever?" And we got to get rid of Jeffries. that guy. Oh my God, we should stand in front of him and drink water or whatever makes you go to the bathroom because he's got to go. Not in a violent way because we're not violent like the libs.
Well, Pat, thank you very much for that. You have no idea how much that means to me. I really, really appreciate it. Pat, have a happy 4th of July. Please give my best to your wife and everybody. And look, again, I just want to say I'm very touched, honestly, by the outpouring of support. And that's why I do the show. Really. When I read that email, I had tears in my eyes last night. I had tears in my eyes when I read it. Again, thank you. You don't know what an honor it is. Truly, it's such an honor to be behind this microphone. All right, Kuhner Country, have a wonderful 4th of July. And I'll speak to you on Monday. Bye-bye.